All right, we're going to take a look at my top 10 mock draft. And I'm not doing a full-on mock draft because I'm going to wait until the Super Bowl is over and we essentially have the order set. So I want to just go ahead and do the top 10. So, of course, the Cleveland Browns, they have clinched that #1 spot, and Sam Darnold is going to Ohio to play for Cleveland. And look, he's going to stay there. I don't think that's going to change in my different versions as we go forward towards the draft. I think he's a better fit than Josh Rosen, given recent comments from Rosen. I'm sure you all know what I'm talking about in regards to Rosen saying that he'd rather play for a team that is a good fit for him, not that team that kind of needs him kind of deal. So Darnold, he needs some polishing. But if the Browns and John Dorsey commit to him, Darnold can certainly push DeShone Kizer in OTAs and training camp. I mean, there can't be a lot of confidence among the players in the Cleveland locker room that DeShone Kizer can lead this team to the promised land. I just don't think there's a lot of confidence. So you bring in Sam Darnold, right? And he's, again, going to need his reps. He's going to have to polish up a little bit. But he's going to bring a lot of excitement to Cleveland. And I think that's more important than anything else at this point. This fan base literally just had a parade for going 0-16. They are fed up. They are done with this. They want a true quarterback that can lead them, and I think Sam Darnold can be that guy. And the Cleveland Browns will be picking at #4 thanks to the Houston Texans. So I've got another fun pick for you, so stay tuned for that one. But Sam Darnold, a very intriguing name to watch out for, and could be headed to Cleveland. I'm predicting it, which means Josh Rosen is going to the New York Giants, #2 overall. And he'll have an opportunity to learn and develop under Eli Manning. I think Rosen has a unique personality, but so does Eli. Remember Eli Manning coming out of the draft? I mean, he was kind of different. And I think Josh Rosen's unique personality can kind of fit in the Big Apple. I think it makes sense here. And Rosen, you look at the tape, certainly was not blessed with a good offensive line or defense at UCLA this past year especially, but it's clear he can make the necessary throws, great in the pocket, throws tight spirals. That's what really stands out to me, and perhaps has the best arm, raw arm, in the draft. And this is going to be a debate as we go up until the NFL draft. Who would you rather have at quarterback? So everybody out there, pretend you're a general manager for an NFL team. Think about this. Do you want Josh Rosen or do you want Sam Darnold? And I want you to comment in the section below as you watch this video, and we'll be tracking what you say. Because I am really intrigued about this whole Darnold and Rosen debate. And there are some sleeper quarterbacks out there too. I mean, Baker Mayfield, obviously, Mason Rudolph, who knows, Riley Ferguson in the 2nd or 3rd round. But it's going to come down to these two names at the top, right? Darnold and Rosen. So who would you rather have to kind of build your franchise around? And again, this is a way, and so we want you commenting here on Facebook Live. All right, so I've got Darnold to Cleveland, Rosen to the Giants. Picking #3 overall, the Indianapolis Colts. Outside of Anthony Costanzo and Ryan Kelly at center, I think the Colts have major issues on the offensive line. Look, Chris Ballard and the leadership in Indianapolis should be focusing on the health of Andrew Luck and what they can do to kind of ease Andrew Luck into this kind of new wave of an Indianapolis Colts tenure, in a sense, because we didn't see him at all this past year, and the Colts are going to have a new head coach, is to build the offensive line. And so, especially on the interior, Quenton Nelson is one of the better run blockers coming out of the draft, perhaps the best run blocker coming out of the draft. And so, if you can pair him up with Ryan Kelly at center, right, and then you have Costanzo at left tackle, who's been solid, get a run game going. I think the Colts should attack the running back position in the draft as well, along with linebacker and offensive tackle, right tackle especially. The run game is going to be so important for Andrew Luck and his health, because Luck loves the play action. And if you can get that going and maybe some plays to the tight ends as well, that's what Andrew Luck likes to do. So it starts with the offensive line. It starts in the interior, and Quenton Nelson is a guy who could be starting in week 1. Extremely powerful, moves players off the ball. And you know what really sticks out to me, guys? he finishes his blocks. That is a big effort indicator. Quenton Nelson is a pancaker in a sense. There aren't many stats out there for offensive linemen, but pancake is one of them, and Quenton Nelson likes his pancakes. He might actually like real pancakes too, who knows. So, look, I like the tape a lot, 6'5", 325 in terms of his weight. Helps other linemen around him in the run game. So he can help out Ryan Kelly or right tackle or whatever it may be. Maybe if he's at left guard, who knows. So, you know, he's a great leader, and I think he has a good base in pass protection. He's wide enough to plug up the holes in the interior. One pro comparison is Brandon Brooks, guard who currently plays for the Philadelphia Eagles, having a great year. So Quenton Nelson, big name there at number 3. Number 4, via the Houston Texans, the Cleveland Browns select Saquon Barkley, running back out of Penn State. So the Browns get Darnold, and then they get Saquon, number 1 and number 4, respectively. Why is that? I think Saquon could provide a lot of excitement. He's a spark plug, probably the most NFL-ready running back in the draft. The Browns' offensive line is solid with Zeitler and Joe Thomas and Petonio there, that I think all Cleveland needs is a good running back, because Isaiah Crowell is not a good running back. We have seen that. We've seen the evidence of that. So I think Saquon would be a fantastic pickup for the Cleveland Browns. And a new QB and a new running back starting in week 1 would be a perfect way, in my eyes, for the Cleveland Browns fan base to totally forget about that 0-16 campaign. 5'11", 233 pounds, runs a 4.33 40-yard dash, power cleans 405 pounds, squatted 525 pounds 5 times, no injury history, and the guy is young. Perfect pick for the Cleveland Browns. Thank you, Houston Texans, Cleveland Browns fans are saying. Saquon Barkley going to Ohio. All right. Number 4 overall there. Let's get to number 5. The Denver Broncos taking Mike McGlinchey, tackle out of Notre Dame. And I currently am believing that the Denver Broncos, and this of course could change, will go out and get Kirk Cousins. The Kirk Cousins era in Washington is over, in my opinion. Washington is going to botch this because that's what Washington does. And so, look, they've been doing it the last couple of years. Right, they've been kind of kicking the can and franchise tagging Kirk Cousins, and that means, like, Kirk Cousins is getting frustrated. He wants security. If he gets tagged again, he's going to be PO'd. And I think during the negotiations and all this stuff, if Kirk Cousins starts to get the indication that the Redskins are not going to give him a long-term deal, he's going to request a trade. And John Elway loves his free agent quarterbacks. So McGlinchey, tackle, yes. Denver needs some help on the offensive line. I think at guard, at tackle, really the entire front 5. And so I think McGlinchey would be a good pickup. He is obviously not as good as Quenton Nelson, but he is the nation's top tackle according to Pro Football Focus. And I think he's got the makings of a solid right tackle. Heavy hands, physical, good base, moves well. And McGlinchey can kind of take over and help the run game for C.J. Anderson in the backfield there for Denver. So McGlinchey, he's more of a run blocker, not great in pass protection, but solid. But it's all about the run game for Denver, right? And it's not necessarily about dropping back and throwing the football 50 times. If Denver can run the football effectively and Kirk Cousins can chuck it around a little bit, hey, I think that would be a match made in heaven there for Denver. Willie chiming in the comments section. Will the Broncos take a quarterback? Willie, appreciate the comment, my man. I think it's a very real possibility. But Willie, I am currently projecting that Kirk Cousins goes to Denver, and so the Broncos won't get a quarterback, at least number 5 overall. Now, if they don't get Kirk Cousins, I could see Baker Mayfield perhaps going to Denver. All right, so there are the Broncos at number 5. Number 6, Minkah Fitzpatrick, defensive back out of Alabama, just won the national championship game. He's feeling good. He's a versatile player. He can play in the safety position as well as corner. So I think that is very promising for the Jets. And the Jets have some young pieces on defense to build around here. And I think Fitzpatrick makes a lot of sense here as well, kind of learning under Todd Bowles. I think Bowles is a great defensive mind, and I think Fitzpatrick would be a good pick by the Jets. So Minkah going to the Jets. How about number 7 overall, Bradley Chubb? The Bucs were dead last in sacks. They need pass rush help. Chubb, of course, defensive end out of NC State. Great leader and had a great career in college. 190 career tackles, 53 tackles for loss, 25 sacks, a big effort guy, plays all 60 minutes. That's what you want, right, in a defensive player especially on that front line getting after the quarterbacks, because he's going to have to be chasing Cam Newton twice a year. So Bucs get some pass rush help. They need it. They could also address the offensive line, but I think they need to go defensive line first. So Bradley Chubb goes to Tampa Bay. And we will stick on the defensive side here with number 8 overall, the Chicago Bears. They have need at wide receiver. There's no doubt about it. And I think there's a possibility they go ahead and reach for a Calvin Ridley or Sutton, etc. But I think they're going to have to go with best player available on the board here. And I think Arden Key, one of the better players available at this point, defensive end and linebacker out of LSU. In the modern NFL, guys, rushers and corners are highly coveted. And if you want to look at a weakness for Chicago's defense, it's the edge rushing ability. Sam Acho and Lamar Houston both had down years on the edge. And so I think Arden Key can kind of come in here and be effective in pass rushing ability. Look at the scoring defense. They were ranked 9th this year. Again, really good. This is not a need pick. This is a, essentially great player. Let's get him and let's be disruptive, even more disruptive on defense kind of pick. So Arden Key goes to Chicago. I think learning under Vic Fangio will be big for him. So Chicago Bears, they get Arden there at number 8 overall. Number 9 overall, San Francisco 49ers. You see a little star next to the Niners at the top of your screen. That's because they're going to be flipping a coin with the Oakland Raiders thanks to a tie. So the Raiders are coming up next. We flipped our own coin. We have the Niners picking 9. So Josh Jackson. 49ers have an elite piece on the line with DeForest Buckner, an elite linebacker, Reuben Foster. There's nobody in the secondary. Jackson can be that elite corner, can be that third building block on that top line at the secondary. And Dante Johnson was awful last season, ranking 118th among corners, according to Pro Football Focus. Akello Witherspoon, though, was really good. And so I think Josh Jackson next to Witherspoon could provide 2 young, promising corners on the outside. Well-coached player coming out of Iowa. I like him a lot. At number 9 overall, going to the San Francisco 49ers. So that means at number 10, the Oakland Raiders. And so this is an interesting pick here. I have Denzel Ward, cornerback out of Ohio State. He's a small-ish guy, at least, in terms of what NFL teams want these days out of corners. They want 6'1" and above here, 5'10", so, may not have the height that teams covet, but makes up for it with smooth movement and a great burst. I think he's a really intelligent corner, and if the Raiders can somehow re-sign TJ Carey and hopefully cut Sean Smith, Ward comes in, and he could be a productive corner alongside TJ. And I think that would be huge for the Oakland Raiders. And I could also see linebacker here for Oakland as well. So maybe a Roquan Smith, etc. But I like Denzel Ward here. I think corners go early in the draft. I think it's kind of a top-heavy cornerback class here. So the question is, with John Gruden now as the head coach, will he go on the offensive side, or will he go with the defense? Very, very interesting thing to monitor there. But I got Denzel going to the Oakland Raiders at number 10 overall. Let's recap my NFL mock draft for the top 10 if you're just tuning into the program here. Sam Darnold, Josh Rosen, Quenton Nelson, Saquon, and Mike McGlinchey 1 through 5 there. Cleveland gets a couple of stud offensive players. And then Minkah Fitzpatrick, Bradley Chubb, Arden Key, Josh Jackson, Denzel Ward, all defensive players in 6 through 10. So there's your top 10 NFL mock draft. This is The Cam Rogers Show here on Chat Sports Facebook Live. Follow me on Twitter at Mr. Rogers99, no relation to the man in the sweater vest.